All right, now that you have all of this knowledge from the course and you've learned about the setups, you've seen everything that you've seen, now it's time to go back and do a little bit of back testing. I like to go back and do some back testing whenever I'm bored or maybe the market's slow. I like to go back and just kind of look at this setups, look at how the market's moving in the last few weeks, and kind of just like analyze and be like, okay, look, okay, let me see, like, let me look at the 15-minute range for the last few weeks. So like here we have the 15-minute range. I'm like looking at it. I'm like, all right, how do we interact with the 15-minute range? Like, did we break the downside? And then what happened? We had the VWAP there. So we bounced off the VWAP and then we pushed up. All right, and that makes sense. Like, we're looking at these charts and we're just getting an idea of like patterns, recent patterns. What has been the big kind of fundamental kind of setup lately? Are we getting a lot of follow through? Is the market choppy? Is the market making big moves? And what should I expect? If I get a breakout, what type of breakout potential is there? So if we look, like, just kind of going back, right? Just go back, look through different time frames, spend a little bit of time going through these setups and just kind of analyzing, like, okay, look, let me see. Okay, market opens, we break out. All right, there's a breakout there. And I'm just kind of going through here. I'm looking at different setups. I'm like, all right, here's a little bit of a bull flag. We kind of broke out there. We got through that resistance. We get there. All right, so then bang, we got the 15-minute opening range pivot point right there. And I kind of look at these setups like, all right, if we break out the first candle, make a new high through that previous candle, if we break out through the 60s, like, what's kind of like a, you know, an easy target, 20, 30, 40 points. And I can see that these setups, you know, through the 60s here, it pops up there to the 80s. So I'm like, all right, that's an easy, you know, 20 points right there on that type of setup. And just kind of going through here and identifying different setups, different flag breakouts, like this setup right here. I'm like, all right, why is this so good and what makes it so good? I like to look different time frames at the different charts. Look at the 5-minute chart, very bullish, you know, bull flag there, the breakout. And we got the pivot point. We kind of held right there at the pivot point. We pushed up there and then we got above it. We had our breakout set up there. We looked at our flag, you know, the first candle to kind of close outside of that range there, and just kind of analyzing these setups. Like, we pulled back, but like, where do we pull back to? Right? Where do we pull back to? Well, we pulled back kind of into that previous area of resistance from earlier. The high of that candle, the high of these candles, that's where we pulled back into. And I've noticed that, you know, the more that I go back and I look at how the market moves and where it's moving, how it's pulling back, where it's bouncing, when I go back and I look at that, a lot of times, you know, the market really likes to kind of break through a area of resistance. You'll see those wicks, you know, wick, and you'll see that pullback into that level again to test that, and then turning it into support. It's like we had 2 wicks there as resistance, and now we have 2 wicks here as support. We had the pivot point. Look at this breakout from the 19,000s. Just goes. You know, just trying to go through and just like run through scenarios. Like, okay, from here, what do I think is going to happen? Like, where is it going to go? It's been dropping, it's been popping. But I'm just spending time looking at the charts. I don't know if it's really so much like I'm have a exact process, but more so just when I have some free time, if I'm bored, if I want to kind of look back, instead of trading and trying to put on more trades, like right now, like I could continue trading. Yes, the market's open. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. I'd rather spend a little bit of time just kind of going back and maybe analyzing the trades that I took earlier in the day. You know, if I'm looking at these trades from the morning and I'm like, okay, what could I have done differently? Like, what could I trade? How could I trade this better? You know, what could I have done to really execute to my best potential, I guess, you know, to my fullest potential here is, I guess, kind of a way to think about it, right? So if I look, I'm looking at a chart this morning, trying to find my entries here. So I'm looking at this chart, and right now I'm just kind of looking through this setup and being like, well, what could I have done differently? If I look at this, there, pull it up. So if I look at this now, it's like, okay, you know, we had our breakout, we had our line, our breakout there. We get the first candle to close. We're holding that EMA right there. We go from the 54s, we take profit into the 80 push. You know, I'll take that, 30 points. We get kind of this. We saw another setup right here for that breakout. You're just kind of going back. You're looking at setups like, what could you have done differently? You know, trying to like, could I have maximized my potential there? what was kind of the reason for me to take profit. I was taking profit into this push up from this high here earlier, and just kind of talking yourself through these trades. I think that's a really good thing to do. You know, at the end of the day, you don't want to get all caught up, emotional, and really try to I coulda, shoulda, woulda, but you want to be able to kind of look through the charts and just look for different setups and be like, wow, see how this popped up and then it dropped and then it went higher. Seeing those setups and trying to train yourself to see those setups in the moment is what's going to lead you to really find that consistency and, learn. You've got to kind of just train your brain. This is a game of just survival. Really, the more you survive, the longer you survive, the more time you have in front of the charts, the more time you spend going through the different moves in the market and talking about it and really kind of breaking it all down, the better your chance of opportunity is. And really, it's kind of what it all is about. Just staying alive and spending time. Go back, look at the charts, look at the indicators, look at the pivot points, look at how the market's moving compared to the previous days and why is it getting stopped. Identify resistance, identify the support, see where it bounces at, and think about that and try to rewire your brain to see those opportunities when it's actually happening in the market. So there it is, back testing. Spend time looking at the charts when you're not focused on trading. That's one of my little pieces of advice I could give you. Just spend time looking at the chart when you have no emotion, you have no desire to trade. You're just looking at the charts, you're back testing. You can do the replay mode on Trade Evade as well, where you can go and basically, go back and replay the mode and kind of see how the play played out and, faster speed. I'm like, okay, all right, we get up to here. All right, we're getting up there. All right, we're pulling back. This is that bull flag breakout setup. All right, there's the breakout. Look at that push. Oh, wow. Analyzing that move as it's happening there. So there it is, back testing. Spend some time looking at the charts, my friend.